quiet neighborhood, where the sounds of rustling leaves and chirping birds once filled the air, lived Alex. Peaceful soul, Alex cherished tranquility, finding solace in the gentle rhythm of everyday life. Mornings were spent sipping coffee while watching the sunrise paint the sky in soft hues, and evenings were reserved for unwinding with a good book or listening to soothing music. Serene existence was shattered when Brad moved in next door. First glance, he seemed like any other neighbor, unassuming and friendly enough during brief encounters on their shared property line. However, it wasn't long before Alex discovered Brad's true nature. He was a party enthusiast, someone who thrived on loud gatherings and boisterous fun. A moment twilight descended, it was as if a switch flipped within Brad. Music blared from his open windows, laughter erupted into the night air, and chaos reigned supreme. Days turned into weeks. Alex found themselves caught in an endless cycle of sleepless nights and growing irritation. Came increasingly challenging concentration slipped through their fingers like sand, as thoughts of muffled bass lines and rowdy voices invaded their mind. Important meetings were missed due to exhaustion. Social outings fell by the wayside as fatigue draped over them like a heavy cloak. Desperate for relief, Alex made several attempts to address the issue directly. They approached Brad one evening after yet another loud party ended at dawn's first light. Trepidation but hope in their heart, they knocked on his door. Of understanding or compassion, they were met with laughter, dismissive chuckles that echoed painfully against Alex's earnest plea for peace. "Just lighten up," Brad jeered before closing the door with an unapologetic grin plastered across his face. Feeling belittled and defeated, frustration morphed into a familiar weight upon Alex's shoulders, a pressure that tightened with each passing day. Conversations with Jamie offered fleeting comfort, but did little to mend the ongoing disruption that had become part of everyday life. Even mundane tasks turned Herculean without proper rest. Focus slipped away entirely as restless nights blended seamlessly into weary days filled with yawns and discontent. A world outside transformed into an unwelcoming place, where whispers of joy vanished under waves of noise pollution from next door, the neighbors' relentless revelry drowning out everything good about life at home. As though time stood still, while Alex endured this personal torment alone. With each thump of bass echoing through thin walls came another reminder: something had to give. Each morning arrived too soon after another night, robbed by raucous antics, nights that left not just physical weariness behind but emotional scars too deep for easy healing. Something snapped within them, then a resolve ignited amidst despair, and thus began Alex's journey toward reclaiming peace once more. On an otherwise quiet evening, the sounds of laughter and clinking glasses pierced through Alex's walls like a relentless storm. Another of Brad's infamous parties, and it seemed he had outdone himself this time. A thumping bass reverberated in sync with the pounding in Alex's head, which had been growing louder over the past weeks as sleep slipped further away. As the clock struck midnight, the noise escalated. Shouts filled the air, mixed with bursts of laughter that echoed off the walls. Alex stared at their ceiling, contemplating how one man could disrupt so many lives. They couldn't escape it. Every attempt to drown out the sound with earplugs or soothing music only made it worse. Each passing hour, Alex felt their resolve crumbling under fatigue. Sleep deprivation twisted their thoughts into a web of despair. Just about the noise anymore, it was about what it represented: a loss of control in their own home. Full sanctuary they once cherished was now a battleground. A moment of desperation fueled by frustration, Alex reached for their phone and called Jamie. Their close friend answered immediately, sensing something was wrong. "Do something about this," Jamie insisted gently after hearing about yet another sleepless night. Feeling powerless but determined to fight back, Alex took action before they lost themselves completely to anger and despair. They spent hours researching local laws regarding noise disturbances, reading everything from official regulations to forums where others shared similar experiences with inconsiderate neighbors. Every word read deepened their understanding and commitment to take back control over their environment. Knowledge came hand in hand with anxiety. What if confronting Brad again ended badly? What if he reacted violently? After discussing options with Jamie over coffee during another restless day, I agreed. Meticulous records would be vital. Document everything, Jamie advised firmly: dates, times, anything that shows he's disrupting your life. As days turned into weeks of tormenting nights and fleeting moments of sanity during dull workdays that blurred together under sleep deprivation, Alex prepared for what they hoped would be a turning point in this battle against unbearable noise, a final straw that would force them to act decisively against Brad's antics once and for all. As the days dragged on, Alex's resolve transformed into a determined plan. Sleep had taken its toll, but it also sparked a fire within them, a thirst for justice that overshadowed the chaos Brad inflicted upon their life. A chaotic party night became the final straw, an event etched in Alex's mind like a scar. On that fateful evening, Brad threw yet another extravagant gathering, inviting what felt like half the neighborhood to join in his revelry. A music thudded mercilessly through the walls, laughter and shouts echoed with reckless abandon. It was as if they were trapped inside a bass-heavy cage, each beat resonating deep in Alex's chest, a haunting reminder of everything they longed to escape. Repassing hour of relentless noise and growing frustration. Memories of sleepless nights flooded back. Hired mornings with dark circles under their eyes. Missed deadlines at work. And a social life reduced to whispers, shared over quiet texts with Jamie. Each moment spent trapped in this cycle of disruption fueled their determination even further. At night, an emotional breaking point, Alex paced anxiously around their dimly lit living room, while glancing repeatedly at the clock. As midnight crept closer, and Brad's party showed no signs of slowing down, something shifted within them. It could no longer tolerate being victimized by someone who seemed immune to consequences. A very next morning marked the beginning of Alex's calculated revenge. It found purpose coursing through their veins. They researched local laws about noise complaints, armed with knowledge about regulations governing decibel levels and enforcement procedures. They meticulously gathered evidence from weeks' worth of disturbances. Every loud gathering was logged alongside timestamps and descriptions, painstaking documentation that painted a vivid picture of Brad's disregard for peace. Jamie watched as Alex transformed from an overwhelmed neighbor into an empowered advocate for tranquility. "You've got this," Jamie encouraged during one late-night coffee-fueled brainstorming session. "Document everything, you'll show him you mean business." Together they crafted emails to local authorities detailing specific incidents. While staying anonymous, Alex took care to ensure no trace led back to them. Days turned into weeks filled with endless nights where quiet finally crept back into Alex's life. Least until Brad hosted yet another raucous bash, which prompted another round of complaints, filed anonymously against him. Each complaint sent ripples through the neighborhood like waves crashing against unforgiving rocks. The patience of those enduring similar disruptions wore thin as well. A moment local authorities started showing up at Brad's door became electric tension crackled between neighbors now embroiled in this silent battle over rights and respect. Initially bewildered by these visits, confusion quickly morphed into anger as he continued his noisy ways, despite fines piling up against him like unwanted guests refusing to leave after last call. Brad grew increasingly defensive under pressure, but remained obstinate. Loud parties persisted unabated, until penalties began hitting him hard financially. Each fine only added weight upon his shoulders while amplifying Alex's satisfaction behind closed doors, finally tasting sweet victory brewed from months-long suffering. As time unfolded further, still the surveillance cameras installed. Discreetly outside captured every uproarious party amid flashing strobe lights illuminating the night sky. It marked just another step toward ensuring retribution would soon arrive on Brad's doorstep, uninvited yet unavoidable. And a sense of fulfillment blossomed within Alex each time police arrived on site due to yet another noise violation caught clearly on camera. Justice danced tantalizingly close now. With every visit, increasing tensions between neighbors, whispers spread throughout surrounding homes about how someone stood up against inconsiderate behavior, and rumors swirled around. How about poor old Brad's unbearable predicament, fueled by relentless complaints echoing from next door. And undoubtedly furious yet undeterred by mounting financial strains caused largely because he chose not heed warnings offered graciously before embracing early morning parties instead. Alex couldn't help but feel pleased watching karma unfold ever so gracefully before their very eyes. And in this battle for peace versus pandemonium, the stage was set perfectly poised towards inevitable defeat, awaiting an unruly neighbor who dared test limits far too many times against one weary resident desperate enough to reclaim control over what once belonged solely unto them. As the days dragged on, Alex found themselves in a constant state of vigilance. Each night was a gamble. Would they finally have some peace? Or would Brad throw yet another raucous party? The tension hung thick in the air, and every noise from next door sent shivers down their spine. Then came the night that broke the camel's back. It was a Friday, and as twilight settled over the neighborhood, Brad's house transformed into an epicenter of chaos. Lights flashed like strobe beams through Alex's window, and with it came a cacophony of sounds that crescendoed into an unbearable symphony of distress. Music blasted so loudly that it drowned out even the sirens from passing emergency vehicles. Voices roared like waves crashing against cliffs, punctuated by laughter that felt more mocking than joyful. First, Alex tried to ignore it. They buried themselves under their covers and pressed their ears against pillows, but sleep remained elusive. Hours past time stretched endlessly as fatigue clawed at their sanity. With each boisterous cheer from next door, resentment bubbled up inside them, a potent mix of anger and despair. Finally, at 3 a.m, a time when most people were lost in dreams, Alex could no longer withstand it. Pulled out of bed and snatched their phone off the bedside table with trembling hands. This wasn't just another sleepless night, this was a point of no return. "Jamie," they whispered hoarsely when answered. "I can't take this anymore." "What's happening?" Jamie asked urgently. "It's worse than ever. I'm done trying to be nice," Alex replied desperately. "I need to make him pay for this." With renewed resolve ignited by frustration and anguish, Alex began gathering evidence meticulously. They recorded videos capturing moments when Brad's parties spiraled out of control, laughter morphing into shouting matches, while music thumped like a heartbeat through thin walls. For weeks following that nightmarish event, Alex documented everything. Timestamps noted alongside descriptions of each incident, each crescendo noted carefully with cold precision, as if chronicling a crime scene rather than simply living life next door to chaos. After compiling enough evidence to substantiate complaints against Brad's behavior, they took action without hesitation or remorse. Multiple noise complaints filed anonymously through online forums became a weapon wielded silently but effectively against him. Days turned into weeks filled with uncertainty about retaliation from Brad looming overhead like storm clouds, ready to burst open at any moment. The local authorities began taking notice too. Officers arrived periodically after receiving complaints detailing how disruptive his lifestyle had become. Noticing patterns emerge where fines escalated rapidly due to repeated violations cited during visits, all building toward what appeared inevitable consequences for Brad's reckless disregard for community standards. With every fine levied upon him came whispers growing louder among neighbors who had long endured similar frustrations, whispers now morphing into conversations filled with excitement over possible resolution, finally dawning on them. Electively, after years spent suffering together, beneath oppressive noise levels emanating from across property lines. And Brad's response. Anger boiled within him as he confronted officers who arrived at his doorstep, a rage fueled not only by annoyance towards authority figures intruding on his fun, but also shame creeping in like shadows reaching across evening streets. And yet despite his protests echoing hollowly through those same walls once adorned with laughter, before becoming symbols marking defeat, instead the parties continued sporadically, albeit less frequently now. And the pressure mounted relentlessly around him, while neighbors relished newfound quiet moments free from encroaching disturbances, previously forced upon them without warning or recourse available until now. And however much he wished otherwise, this game could only end one way. When one particularly large penalty payment hit him unexpectedly all too soon after accumulating debts due largely because careless nights spun wildly out of control. It became painfully evident something needed changing immediately and fast. And Brad packed boxes hastily under cover of darkness one fateful evening, close enough for anyone peering outside windows nearby, witnessing bittersweet relief blossoming within hearts longing. Peace restored once again just beyond those closed shutters, lingering ominously above empty lawns, previously graced only by memories gone awry. And no longer confined by circumstances beyond comprehension, they cheered amongst themselves, gently raising cups filled warmth, celebrating camaraderie forged anew amidst shared struggles over past burdens, lifted high above rooftops still. Standing proudly beneath starlit skies shimmering softly overhead, welcoming homecoming spirits freed at last from shackles binding them here, before watching movements slowly fade away, until silence enveloped everything left behind, leaving echoes fading gradually along pathways traversed previously darkened, heavily burdened souls wandering aimlessly, barely holding on to hope throughout tortured nights, spent wondering whether solace lay hidden somewhere deep within each heart. Earning desperately find meaning once again. Backslash and freedom celebrated quietly around sunlit corners, beckoning promise, brightening lives, beckoning happiness, returning evermore.